Welcome everyone. Today is Thursday, May the 3rd, 2018. This is a special work session. City of Leander, Texas, City Council. I'm officially open the meeting at 6 o'clock. We do have a quorum present. We're going to move to item number 3. We're going to convene into executive session pursuant to A, Section 551.072 Texas Local Government Code to deliberate the acquisition and value of real property, and B, Section 551.087 of the Texas Local Government Code to discuss or deliberate proposed economic development incentives for a business prospect that the governmental body seeks to have locate, stay, or extend in or near the territory of the governmental body and with which the governmental body is conducting economic development negotiations. And we will come back out here to receive the update from on number 4. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then we'll come back out to receive the update on Lakewood Park before we convene into session. The time is 6:02. We're in executive session. We're going to reconvene at 6:28 to move to item number 4, receive an update on Lakewood Park. Mr. Cummings.
Hi, Mayor, Council. Good evening. And so we don't delay too much time, we're excited to bring you some really nice updates. Brandon Hay is from Half Associates is here with us tonight. He's going to be doing the presentation. So hopefully you enjoy, and we'll entertain any questions afterwards. So thank you.
Thank you. Come on up, Brandon. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for having me out tonight. So as Mark mentioned, I'm here to give you an update on the Lakewood Park project. This is a very exciting project that we are nearing the phase of this becoming a reality. As Mark said, I'm Brandon Hay with Half Associates. I'm the project manager of this project. And what I'm going to do is just walk you through the current design, a couple of key points that I want to point out during the design. I'm also here to give you an update on the schedule and answer any questions that you have throughout the process. So as a recap, Lakewood Park is about 130 acres, just south of Crystal Springs, which is being developed right now, and the existing Cold Springs neighborhood. Our main park access drive will be coming off of, there it is. We'll be coming off of Artesian Springs roadway, which is being built right now. That'll be providing our main vehicular access to the park. The park is broken up into a couple sectors, what we like to refer to them as. We have our main hub, which is where we have a large grouping of sort of our kind of daily activities of pavilions and splash pad, playground, skate park, a lot of our more daily active use zone. We have a great lawn, which is a large 13-acre open space lawn. It's going to have some backstops, otherwise this is open play, fly kites, having a balloon festival. It has a half-mile jogging trail around the Great Lawn, just to give you an idea of the scale of this. We have sport courts, which consist of a basketball court and 2 sand volleyball courts. A 3-acre dog park that's broken up into 2 large dog sections and a small dog section. Nature trails, which consist of both paved and natural trails, a kayak rental and launch facility, and a fishing boardwalk pier. I talked about the vehicular access will be coming in off of Artesian Springs, but we also have multiple pedestrian access points throughout the park. One will be right immediately adjacent to Artesian Springs, connecting to the 10-foot pathway in the Crystal Springs neighborhood. We have another one that connects up to, I'm sorry, I forget the street name, Cactus Mound. This access will also serve as our secondary emergency access drive. And then we also have a pedestrian entrance at the far right of the property off of Grand Lake Parkway. I want to just kind of jump into some of these little sectors that I was pointing out before. This is the main hub area that I was talking about with a large splash pad, a skate park, our main pavilion, which has restrooms, picnic areas, also has some game zones in it that I'll dive into in just a minute. Our large natural playground has some food truck vending spots, and we also have a grand overlook overlooking the large Great Lawn. This is a rendering of what the main pavilion will look like, with men's and women's restrooms, a large picnic facility, and then also an area for games so that you could have a large family gathering in this zone right here where you can have clear visibility throughout and kind of a one-stop active zone here in the middle of all the activity within this main hub. This is just another view of the main pavilion that shows some of the games we're talking about. We're having outdoor ping pong, foosball, cornhole, and this is all immediately adjacent to our playground. The skate park in the park is going to be sort of like a street skate style, where we integrate stairs and ramps and railings that you might find in a more urban environment that a lot of skateboard users like to challenge themselves with. And this is a more linear design, which is a little bit different than some of the other skate parks that we've seen before, but it also fits and weaves into the natural environment so that we preserve the trees that are out there. The splash pad is something we're real excited about. It's kind of a unique design. This plays off of the natural theme of the park. It has a large river and water basin for kids to play in, and just to not cause any alarm, the water basin only will collect about an inch or two of water, so we don't have the need for any lifeguards. At the center of the splash pad, we have a large group pavilion for birthday parties or other gatherings. We do have a little toddler zone with some small bubblers to help separate the large kids from small kids. As I mentioned, then we have kind of a splash creek, and this is a water channel that will allow kids to manipulate and play in the water as it funnels its way down to our basin of water. We also have picnic tables strategically placed under some of the existing trees so that during those hot July, August months, there'll be some natural shade out there and the parents can sit comfortably without getting too hot in the sun. And then this is a rendering of our playground that we're going to be having with this playground tower is almost 30 feet tall, so you will see that just poking above the trees as you drive into the park with a slide coming out that third level there. So kids will have the challenge of climbing up to that top level and sliding out from the top. We also have some net climbers and other various levels of challenges, and then also some groupings of some swings out here as well.
Brandon, if I could, at one point when we first started talking about this design, Mr. Tummons, I don't know that I've even had this conversation with you, but we did have a discussion about some ADA compliant facilities that we could use. I know there's some specialty kind of swings and things like that. Have we incorporated any of that?
There are some of those accessibility swings that are just not shown in this rendering, but those are.
I just want to make sure we addressed it. I know we've discussed it in the
I know
past.
the Play for All Abilities Park in Round Rock is really popular, and I think
Right.
if we could utilize some of those options here, that'd be great. Mark and I have talked about this too. So.
Okay, great.
I know there's been discussion. I just want to make sure we're incorporating it into the plan as we move forward.
Yeah, in the back where we show some swings kind of in the background here, there is, and I can always provide a closer detail of what those look like, but there's some large swings that kids with accessibility challenges can get on and access and enjoy the park, as well as there will be a kind of an access stair that meets the ADA requirements to access this tower as well.
Okay. Just want to make sure that we incorporate that.
Okay. As I was talking about, there's some web climbers. This is immediately adjacent to our main pavilion and the large tower, which I think will be a very iconic feature within the park. And we have a large cluster of swings as well.
Is the construction of the playscape itself, is that resin material? There's no wood, right?
We're not using any real wood on this unless we're using it in a sort of like a natural play setting where you would use wood. Like we're reusing some real wood to help create like some little logs you can walk on and stuff. But otherwise, all the wood is a composite wood.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
It did. I just want to make sure we don't have.
That's to help with maintenance and yeah, right. So our great lawn is what we're referring to. As I mentioned, this is a very, very. It's hard to get from just the picture here the scale of this, but it's about 700 feet across if you go from top to bottom, and it's a 1/2 mile jogging or loop trail around it. So it's about 13 acres. And we have at the very top of it, which is highlighted now, is a grand overlook, which will be coming in elevated above the park, about 10 feet up. So you have this magnificent view clear out to the lake and over the water. The Great Lawn itself, we also have a picnic area tucked into some very beautiful existing oak trees, a large fishing pier, and picnic pavilions that are nestled along the lake's edge as well. This is a rendering of what this overlook does look like. So as you exit from that main pavilion up in the hub area, you have a direct path down to this overlook. And so you come out there and just take in the view and then make your way down onto the lawn itself.
Just curious, the fishing pier, how far out into the water would that extend?
Right now it extends out about 100 feet.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Now, being that this is a variable level lake, sometimes that water level will adjust on where exactly the edge of the water is. The fishing pier will be we are looking at trying to make it a continuous loop with some jut outs so that you can have casting and safe passage behind people that are fishing as well. And ADA accessible, of course.
Good.
Over in our more active zone, as I mentioned, we have one full-size basketball court and 2 sand volleyball courts with a kind of like a little grill picnic gathering spot right in the middle. These are also lit at night. And we also have a 3-acre dog park, as I mentioned, and these are tucked into the existing trees that are on this corner of the park. This is our small dog section, and then we have 2 large dog sections. That's so we can close off one section if it needs to rest while the revegetation comes back out, and then we can open up the second one. At our kayak launch facility, on this more natural side of the park, we have nature trails and a kayak facility and some more picnic pavilions. This is a rendering of what the kayak facility will look like. And this is a men's and women's restroom over here. We have self-rental kayak facility, so there won't have to be anybody manning this facility. People will come out, swipe their credit card, just take a kayak from the station, use it for as long as they want, and then return it. It's kind of like a bike share program. And then there's also...
Can people bring their own?
You can bring your own, of course. And so this allows for both people to access, and let me actually jump back here to answer that question a little bit more. The road that does come down to access this facility, we do have a drop-off zone here, so you can come in with your truck or vehicle, unload. We have a little unloading zone here, and you have a real close access to launch your own kayak here. And then you can bring your car or vehicle back up and park in one of our parking lots, or we also have overflow parking along the roadway.
I have a question. Since it's variable level, has that section been dredged out to make sure that there's enough water there?
No, there is water currently in this lagoon section, but we will be removing this little land bridge right here to allow the lake level to fill, or the lake water to fill up this section. Was that answering?
I think she was trying to make sure that it's deep
Yeah,
enough
it's
that
deep enough
for that to be
for the launch.
continually
Yeah.
accessible.
Correct. And then the launch itself does extend beyond the normal pool level itself. So as the water level fluctuates, it should remain accessible unless there's just an absolute extreme drought situation where
Do you have data on how much it
Fluctuates.
we don't. I don't have the historical data on that, but through some of our conversations with residents that live in the area, the water has receded far out beyond its ordinary high water mark, and then during a major rain event, it can almost inundate the entire park. Yeah. This is a rendering of one of our standard picnic pavilions. These will be placed throughout the park as well as I mentioned along the water's edge. And then I want to touch on what our time frame is and our current stance as I speak to you today. So right now, we are in the stage of trying to finish up our construction documents, and we're trying to finish it in the next 2 weeks by May 15th, at which time we hope to go out for advertising this for bid by the end of this month. And then we anticipate awarding a contract to a construction contractor by the beginning of July. Then we hope to begin construction by mid-July. And the reason for this aggressive time frame is because there is a Texas Parks and Wildlife grant that's associated with this project, and our goal is we're trying to have the grant-related items constructed first so that we check those items off the list while the rest of the park is under construction and doesn't have that rigid time frame associated to it. And
So January? What was the deadline on that? No,
by
we
the end of
extended
January,
that.
for the Texas Parks and Wildlife grant items, which is some trails, picnic pavilions, some of the boardwalk, stuff like that. But then the rest of the park in total, we anticipate would be done by next fall.
Is there anybody at the amenity center like working like ping pong? Is that the same thing? You bring your own? Or
You bring
is
your
it-
own. That's correct. Yes, you would bring your own ping pong paddle and ping pong ball. Same with the foosball, you could bring your own ball, and then the same with the cornhole, your own bags as well. And okay, is there any other questions I can?
Is there going to be electrical outlets at the various picnic areas, or is that going to be all?
We do not have them at the picnic pavilions themselves. Let me see if I can.
So I believe some of them have the possibility of flooding, don't they?
So let me go back to this overall one and answer a couple of those questions. Okay. We are not having any electrical down in this area
Okay.
because of how susceptible it is to flooding.
Okay.
We are having convenience outlets for to give flexibility to park events, whether it's a festival or you have food trucks or
That's
whatever
what
the
I'm
event
thinking.
is. Those are scattered around this area right in here.
Okay. And under the main pavilion.
The main pavilion will have, yes.
Okay.
Was there any consideration for a swimming pool or tennis courts or anything like that? Any of those amenities?
Not for those. So previous to us designing this, doing the construction documents on this, we did have the master planning process where we did all the community input, and that was not something that came out of that process.
Thank you.
Looks good.
Anything else, council?
If you don't mind, could you highlight, I mean, we have a change order tonight for
Yes.
engineering. Could you highlight what those changes are?
Thank you, yes. The original contract, we were scoped to design the whole park in its entirety, but our main road and parking lot was originally centered just up in this area. There were some things that happened prior to us getting involved, and some additional requests from the city to extend a access road down to the kayak facility. And we are also providing a restroom down here, which we think is a wonderful idea because there's a lot of activity that occurs over in this part of the park. And that's quite a long distance to go to just one restroom. So we're extending some utilities, roadway, and designing some additional architecture down there.
How many parking spaces are there planned for the entire facility?
Absolutely. It's about 200 is planned, for which will be constructed in the base construction package. But we do also have designed some additional overflow of about another 40.
Okay.
Would there be any grass parking if we had a big event there?
So all along the roadway, it's kind of hard to see in this picture, we have this little line that you see is parallel to the road. That's going to be a post and cable line, and where it juts out is all parallel parking spaces, so that'll be reinforced grass area for overflow. And we also have this little notch right here in the post and cable to spill out into this zone right here. A lot of this is currently cleared from the Crystal Springs section when they were building this wastewater line, so you could use that just as open overflow parking.
Thank you.
Could it accommodate concerts or anything like that as far as the Great Line? Or
Sure. We are, again, putting electrical outlets up here to help bring power in there. And with as large of a space as is, sure.
But there's only one way in and out, so I'm sure there's going to be a limit to what we can allow in there. I know it's.
That's from the
Chief Gardner could, would there be a limit? There is two-way, I thought, oh, you have an emergency?
Oh, yeah, the
So
one-
would there be a limit to how many, would you have a limit on how many people you'd allow in there, Chief?
I don't think you're going to run into. Chief's going to say there's always a limit.
I know. That's what I want to, I would get an idea.
Go ahead.
When you start looking at the access and with the extension of the change with the extension of the roadway down there, that gives us the ability to move crowds in a couple of different directions. Also, when you look at the ability of not bringing a lot of vehicular traffic in, then you can add a lot more people
Right.
in there because you're not basically cross-contaminating where you bring motor vehicle in with pedestrian traffic. Then when you use pedestrian traffic, there's a whole lot of area. And the worst case scenario is there's a really big lawn that's going to have irrigation.
Yeah.
But we can all sit out there in the rain and kumbaya.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll make sure to time that irrigation so it doesn't come on during a concert. Okay. Did that answer that question? Yeah. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else, council? Other questions? Great. Let's get it built.
We're excited.
Exciting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, council, the time is 6:50. We're going to recess until 7 o'clock. Welcome, everyone. Today is Thursday, May the 3rd, 2018. This is the regular city council meeting, City of Leander, Texas. We have a great crowd, and we're glad that you're all here. If you'll please rise for our invocation. Councilmember Abruzzese, would you please lead us in prayer?
Dear Lord, we meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize our responsibility to the past and the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and on our efforts here today, that we may act wisely and well. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. If everyone will please turn around, face the back of the room to the flags. We have our Leander PD Honor Guard. Honor Guard, you have the floor. If you'll please join me in the pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. If you'll please remain standing.
Order, arms. Colors, ready. Post. Right, face.
Our color guard is made up of Corporal Amadon,
Forward, march.
Canine Officer Carnley, Corporal York, and Senior Officer Graham. Give them a big round of applause. Thank you very much. You may be seated. Ms. Crabtree, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Andrea Navarrette.
Present.
Councilmember Michelle Stephenson.
Here.
Councilmember Shannon Shepherd.
Here.
Councilmember Ron Abruzzese.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Sala.
Here.
Councilmember Troy Hill.
Here.
Mayor Christopher Fielder.
President, we do have a quorum and a full council. We are eligible to do business. We're going to move to item number 7, staff comments. I don't believe that we have any this evening. We'll move to item number 8, citizens' comments. I don't have anyone signed up for citizens' comments. Would anyone like to address the council an item that is not on the agenda? Okay, hearing none, we're going to move to item number 9. These are recognitions, proclamations, visitors. We have several items that we want to recognize tonight. Our first one, and we're very excited about, we're always proud of our youth and our students. We have the Leander High School Color Guard Proclamation. This item is sponsored by Councilmember Shepard and Councilmember Navarrete. Councilmember Shepard, do you have a proclamation?
Yes, sir, I do.
Let's have everybody come down, if you would. Come right down here. Mike, if you'll tell them where you would like them.
Whereas the Leander High School Color Guard Winter Guard, comprised of 15 ladies and 3 gentlemen, went undefeated throughout the Winter Guard season, and whereas the same team, minus a few who graduated last May, placed 14th in regional finals competition last year, came back with a new focus and determination. And whereas on April 7th, 2018, the Leander High School Color Guard captured the state championship performing their new show entitled Reflections, set to Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror at the Texas Color Guard Circuit's state championship competition held at Texas A&M, qualifying the Color Guard to compete at WGI's World Championship. And whereas on April 14th, the students headed to the airport at 3 a.m. to begin their quest for a top 5 finish at WGI's World Championship under the talented leadership of Director Will Calloway, along with his assistants Casey Kuntz and Nicholas Roman. And whereas the students' commitment and dedication to their art form included not only many hours of practice, but sacrificing numerous weekends, parts of spring break holiday, and their prom. And whereas this commitment paid off with a nearly flawless performance to a crowd of over 3,000, and the Color Guard being awarded the title of World Champion with a record-breaking score of 99.4, beating 130 teams from across the nation and the world on their first trip to WGI Worlds. Now, Now, therefore, I, Christopher Fielder, Mayor of Leander, Texas, do hereby call upon all citizens to join me in recognizing this tremendous achievement of the Leander High School Color Guard and congratulate these students and the director and assistants on this prestigious honor.
We're going to come down and take a picture with you, if that's okay.
That would be fun.
One down.
I couldn't read it.
Did you give them the proclamation?
I did not. Dana.
Ms. Danaker, you're wanted to the front.
To the front registers, please.
So proud of those
Thank
kiddos.
That was impressive.
Our next recognition is one that I wanted to do at this meeting for our school resource officers. There's always a lot of things in the news about what happens in some of the schools, some of the tragedies that have happened, and I don't know if people understand and know what we have available to us and how we work to put officers in our schools. And I wanted to invite our SROs and our chief up to tell a little bit about that, and then we have a proclamation for you, Chief.
You want to read that first?
You may read it? You bet.
Sure, I got everybody up there.
So our proclamation, City of Leander, Leander Police School Resource Officer Appreciation. Whereas the school resource officers are uniformed police officers assigned to area Leander ISD high schools within the City of Leander to work in partnership with the school personnel and students on a daily basis to provide a safe learning environment. Whereas these officers perform many roles that go beyond providing basic police services, as they are also counselors, role models, motivators, and mentors. And every school day, these officers are prepared to take the necessary action to safeguard those under their care. And to do so, they are willing to face great risk and put their lives on the line to ensure that the children of our community have a safe place to learn and grow. These true guardians strike the balance between law enforcement and public service. I encourage all citizens to express their appreciation to the men and women who have chosen to protect our schools. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Christopher Fielder, do hereby proclaim Thursday, May 3rd, 2018, as Leander Police School Resource Officer Appreciation Day. In witness thereof, we have signed and dated this for you, Chief.
Well, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for sponsoring this. And some facts that a lot of people don't know is our school resource program has been alive and well for 20 years. Since Leander was the very first high school that we had here, we started the SRO program back in 1998. And this is a kind of a unique program. This is one that I personally just really enjoy seeing, because to be so what is an SRO? What does an SRO do? So an SRO is not just a cop in the school. The word in their name alone is resource. They're a resource not only for the school district, but for the children that are there as well. Myself, I started with the SRO program in 1998. It was, like I said, when we first started, not knowing what it was about, but what these officers here have taken this to an extremely different level. When I was there, it was, we don't know what to do. I was a security guard on campus to keep the campus safe. But what these people do right here is a lot more. They have to balance not only the relationships with the school district and how the school district operates internally at each school separately, parents and intermeeting with parents and talking about some of the daily things that may go on at school or concerning with their children. Also with the department and how we operate. And the most important thing is the relationship and building with our youth. And you can see this picture up here, which it was an amazing article in the Hill Country News, and Officer Grimes there, and just the joy that some of these kids have just having these officers in the school. Because, again, we don't want them to be seen as just the officer there. They're part of that community, just like they're part of our community in Leander. Every school is a separate community as well. So I just thank you for honoring them and appreciate having them there, because I know it's a tough assignment, and I know it's not the easiest of things because you got to keep a lot of people happy at one time. So I appreciate you. So I'd like to introduce them if I can.
Please.
This is Corporal Treziak, Officer Grimes, Officer Bennett, and Officer May. What campuses? Because I know y'all may have switched around since we had some switches.
Leander High School, Glenn, Rouse. I'm at Leo right now, but normally I hit them all.
Yep. So just like anything else, if there's anybody that doesn't know we have this program, know that there's officers on your high school campuses. And if there's anything you ever need, just give them a call. I feel like I'm talking to y'all and I'm actually talking to them. Just give them a call, and they can help you guys out. So, again, I just want to thank you for bringing this up and honoring them today.
If I can have you guys back up right here in the center, kind of use right here in the center, we're going to stand up and we'll take a picture with you guys down in the front.
And that's Lieutenant Mitchell. He supervises the program, so sorry.
While y'all are setting up,
Yeah, we're just going to stay up here.
This is one of our new 40th anniversary points.
Sure. Come on. Come on, Steve. I'd be remiss to, Sergeant Ward has just taken over the program to be the sergeant for our SRO program, and Lieutenant Moeller, who promoted, probably didn't want it to, but for that reason, he was also our program sir.
Hey, except you, you're okay. Yeah. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Thank you very much. Great. Our next recognition deals with our police as well. This is National Police Week. Pro Tem, do you have a proclamation?
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated Tuesday, May 15th as National Police Officer Memorial Day and the week of May 13th through May 19th as National Police Week 2018, and whereas members of the Leander Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of our community, and whereas our police officers recognize their duties to serve the community by safeguarding life, property, and by protecting them from disorder, the innocent from deception, and the weak against oppression. Now therefore I, Mayor Christopher Fielder, call upon all citizens of our community to observe the week of May 13th through May 19th, 2018 as National Police Week, and Tuesday, May 15th as National Police Officer Memorial Day, and honor those law enforcement officers who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Trying to get those other ones up here.
I know.
Everybody's trying to hide in the back. You know, I always say you can tell the cop to go into a room where there's gunfire and somebody trying to hurt him, but you tell them to come up in front of the front, and it's like scary. Well, thank you again, Mayor and Council. I want to read a couple things off this because I have some facts that I want to share with you guys. So, as you read, National Police Week pays special recognition to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others. Since the reading of this proclamation from last year, there's been 134 officers have died and been killed in the line of duty while serving in their respective communities. 48 of these deaths have been in just this year alone, 2018. With their most recent death on April 27th, when we buried our friend and our fellow officer Charles Whites from Round Rock. That was the first officer they've ever lost in the line of duty. There's a promise that we make to every family member when one of their loved ones is killed or dies in the line of duty. And this proclamation helps solidify that promise that their loved ones won't ever be, it may be gone forever, but they won't be forgotten. So we appreciate you reading that proclamation, and we're going to have a flag ceremony during that week as well, and then just in honor of all those that have given the ultimate sacrifice for their community. So thank you very much for reading that. So you've met some of these guys already before, but this is a small part of our team as well, of the 57 that we have at our department. So again, thank you for honoring that.
We'll take another picture.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
This way?
Yeah, we'll slide back there.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, officers. We've got one more recognition. This is a recognition of the Leander Fire Department First Responders C Shift Station 2. This item is sponsored by Councilmember Stephenson and Councilmember Abruzzese. Councilmember Stephenson, do you have a proclamation? Before you do, if they'll come up.
I have a certificate of commendation to read. This certificate hereby honors Leander Fire Department C Shift Station 2 for the extraordinary efforts of the first responders for which their prompt and alert action specifically led to the life of Sylvia Coe being saved.
Chief, you want to tell us about that event?
One of the things that we're going to talk a little bit about is it takes more than one person to ever make an event work. So when we talk about this group and we talk about the people involved, this is a small assembly of the team involved. That day specifically, that was not the standard crew that was not working collectively together. It was working, some of them working at a different station. They were dependent also on resources from a rescue and all of the different items that associated with that. What that shows is a collective whole working for a common goal. This event is special in that less than 10% of the people that go into cardiac arrest that are entrapped in a vehicle ever discharge out of the hospital. Out of that 10%, less than 2 to 5% of them are able to return to normal life and start doing things. This was an opportunity of a team working collectively in whole to reach out and to help our neighbor, help someone that was at a time that their actions made a difference. So that recognition goes out to this group because of the actions that they went through and to do patient care in the resuscitation, to disentangle the person from the vehicle, go through the extrication to get them removed, packaged, and provided to the EMS to transport them to the hospital. So they made a difference that day of someone not going home, and that's important, and that's what we do.
Amen.
Well, I'm here because of you. Like Chief Gardner said, only 10% get to survive. And only, what's the percentage of 5% get to have a full life. I am here. I am well. There was nothing broken, nothing lost. I'm able to see my children. I'm able to hug them. My oldest son is serving a mission, and he was gone when I was in an accident, and I was so afraid that I wasn't going to be able to hug him again. But because of you, I will. I will see my middle child graduate from high school, and I can see my little girl grow up and become a wonderful woman. And because of your experience and your dedication and the many, many hours you put into this work, we are so very thankful. I know I'm not the only one, but I am so, so very thankful for your service and your capacity to bring back a life. Thank you.
while we're getting everybody back, I have to add this one comment. This is a personal item for me. You talk about every life. Every time you do something influences 10 other lives. Sylvia has been involved in raising my youngest daughter since she was the age of 3. So when you talk about one life influences 10, she has influenced hundreds, including mine, and has the ability to continue to do that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
I'd just like to say, I've known Sylvia for several years now. I taught her daughter in primary, which is our church's Sunday school for little kids. And when I found out about this, it was amazing. It was amazing that this happened to her, but it was amazing to find out that she was okay. And I believe it wasn't even a month later, she was out and about, and I saw her at a party. She couldn't see very well at the time because of the trauma to her head injuries. But she can see now, and she can see me all the way over here, and she's doing very well now. And it's a blessing, a wonderful blessing to have her here in our community. And I'm grateful for the skill and the training of our fire department that they were able to do this.
Great, thank you. Council, we're going to move to our consent agenda. This is an action item. However, I am going to pull item number 13. I made a little mistake. We have to approve item 16 before we can approve item 13. We haven't finished annexing the property, so we can't zone it yet. So we're going to pull item 13 and take action on it afterwards. So we're going to be taking action on the consent of items 10, 11, and 12, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Is there a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
It's been a motion made for approval by Councilmember Navarrette with a second by Councilmember Shepherd. Is there further discussion? All in favor? Motion does carry. We'll now go to item number 13. Item number 13 is approval of the second reading of an ordinance regarding zoning case 17-Z-030 to amend the current zoning of interim SFR-1-B single-family rural district to SFR-2-B single-family rural district on one parcel of land, approximately 7.42 acres more or less in size, more particularly described by Travis Central Appraisal District Parcel 353649, legally described as Lot 40 of the Hidden Mesa Subdivision and generally located at the eastern terminus of Mesa Oaks, Leander, Travis County, Texas. Is there a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
Been a motion made for approval by Councilmember Shepherd with a second by Councilmember Navarrette for approval. Is there further discussion? All in favor? Motion does carry. Thank you for helping me with that, Council. We have no public hearings that are no action. We will go to our public hearings, which are action items. Item number 18 is to conduct a public hearing regarding Comprehensive Plan Amendment Case 18-CPA-001 to amend the transportation plan as set forth in the Comprehensive Plan, Williamson and Travis Counties, Texas. Item 1, to discuss and consider an ordinance amending the Comprehensive Plan to amend the transportation plan as set forth in the Comprehensive Plan, Williamson and Travis Counties, Texas. Mr. Yannis?
1 second, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to try to get to this item real quick. There we go. Thank you. This is a public hearing on a change to the transportation plan, which is an element of the city's comprehensive plan. This is related to a roadway that is a proposed roadway on our current transportation plan that is labeled as Arterial A2. It runs from Hero Way West to Nameless Road. We have not made an update to this map since the Travis County purchased a large piece of property out off of Nameless Road to preserve as wildlife habitat. And what precipitated us needing to do this now is that case that you just approved a moment ago on the zoning of that Hidden Mesa lot. This current alignment goes right through the middle of that tract, and because this alignment is no longer feasible due to the wildlife preserve, the staff is recommending an amendment to the transportation plan to change the classification of the roadway and to change the alignment of it as well. So what you see now up on the screen is the proposed classification and alignment. So we're changing it from an arterial to a collector due to the fact that it will carry a lot less traffic because of the land area that's no longer developable. And we're changing the alignment to follow the existing County Road 290 and High Lonesome route, and then go through the Cotchula property back to Nameless Road as that, if and when that property develops. And so that's the proposal before you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. The Planning and Zoning Commission did unanimously recommend approval of the amendment at their meeting last week. And just a reminder that in order to do a comprehensive plan amendment, the charter requires 5 votes to approve it.
Great. This is a public hearing. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on this item? Would anyone like to speak on this item? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. And we do have to take action on this. We're going to discuss and consider an ordinance amending comprehensive plan to amend the transportation plan as set forth and the comprehensive plan, Williamson and Travis County, Texas. I do want to make reference. I've spoke to both landowners, and they did make notice that they're both fine with it. Obviously, at this point, they had asked Dr. Cotchula and Mr. Giddens, who affects both these effects, just that we would notify them in the future if we decide to make a change that affects going through their property. I think that's a reasonable request. And just for the council, everybody knows Dr. Cotchula. She tripped coming out of her house yesterday and broke her foot. So you guys might want to keep her in your prayers as you're moving forward. This is an action item, council.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
It's been a motion made by Councilmember Abruzzese, second by Councilmember Shepherd. Is there further discussion? All in favor? Motion does carry. We'll move to item number 19. Item number 19 is conduct a public hearing to consider proposed assessment to be levied against the accessible property located within the Crystal Springs Public Improvement District. Ms. Sines, are you doing this one?
I'd ask Mr. Allen to come up first.
That'd be fine. Mr. Allen, how are you this evening?
I'm well, Mayor. Thank
Great,
you.
thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, city manager. For the record, my name is Chris Allen, Hilltop Securities, your financial advisor. I'm here to, as indicated in the action item, the city's previously posted a proposed assessment roll based upon estimates for the district on those bonds. We went out to sell bonds yesterday. Gabby, my colleague, I think, passed out the book. It's a brief book, and I'll be brief. So we issued $5,475,000 special assessment revenue bond series 2018 for the Crystal Springs Public Improvement District. Just to kind of give you an idea of some of the players, your bond counsel, Bickerstaff Heath, Delgado Acosta, was involved, and we have members from that firm here, David, Denise, and Gregory. The lead manager, Piper Jaffrey. They also have representatives here, Dan Gangwich and Kim Edwards. These bonds were not rated. As you know, they're not associated with the city's GeoCredit, so they were not rated. The next couple of pages is kind of to give you an idea of where we are on the market. Since the beginning of the year, we've really had a very low supply in the bond market. The FOMC increased the Fed funds rate, the short-term rate, in March, and as a result, we've seen interest rates move upward. And you'll see that there, the line, there's a lot of squiggly lines there, but the both green lines, the latter green line is the one that is the one that we look at relative to how your bonds trade. Just kind of in summary, although interest rates are higher than when we priced the Deerbrook PID last year, we actually were able to sell through those levels, meaning the spread to the index that we price the bonds on. We were able to sell through those bonds. So We ended up with a true interest cost of 5.47. These bonds will be amortized over a 30-year period. You'll see the interest rates and yields in the below box. Although they're amortized in 30-year as a 30-year debt service, they're issued in term bonds so that it appeals more to the large institutional investors that we go to on these transactions. The last page is just the debt service, explaining basically what I just said, or outlining what I just said. The ordinance before you is for the city's levying of assessments based on updated figures that support the actual debt service of the bonds. So when we priced the bonds yesterday, we then went to the PID administrator and they updated the assessment calculations to determine what those annual installments were. I think now Paige will introduce the assessment roll, the current assessment roll. But with that, I would certainly recommend approval on these bonds. Thank you.
Mayor and Council, this is the public hearing on the proposed assessments for the Crystal Springs PID. The next item after you have the public hearing will be an ordinance to adopt the finalized assessment roll, which levies assessments against the property in the district in amounts that are sufficient to meet the annual debt service obligations on the bonds and to pay the administrative costs on the district. The numbers have been adjusted to cover the debt service on the bonds after the pricing has occurred, now that we know what those numbers are. Appendix A to the service and assessment plan in front of you is the updated assessment roll. As is shown in the assessment roll that you're considering, the assessments are divided among the properties in the district so that each parcel is assessed based on the benefit it receives from the improvements by the bonds. And once the city approves the assessments in the next agenda item, if you are willing to do so, then after that you'll be considering the ordinance to authorize the issuance of the bonds to finance the public improvements within the district. What you should do is, with respect to the rest of this public hearing, you should ask for any comments from the public, because if there are any objections to the assessments, you need to hear those and pass on those. And I can answer any questions, or bond counsel or financial advisor can do so as well.
Great, thank you. This is a public hearing. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing at this time. Would anyone like to speak on this item? Would anyone like to speak on this item? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. We're going to move to discuss and consider an ordinance levying special assessments against the accessible property in the Crystal Springs Public Improvement District, establishing a lien on such property, approving an assessment plan and assessment roll, providing for payment of the assessments, providing for the method of assessments and payment of the assessments, providing for penalties and interest on delinquent assessments, and providing for related matters. Council, this is an action item.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We do have a motion for approval by Councilmember Stephenson with a second by Councilmember Shepard. Is there further discussion? Questions?
I had a question.
Yep, Mr. Hill. Who you want to ask? Mr. Allen?
Chris. So, being that interest rates have gone up.
I'm sorry, is your mic on? Thank you.
Being that interest rates have gone up, and was the initial cost within, you talked about a range, so it's still within the initial range that you estimated last time?
Projected, yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And is it something where if interest rates go down, do they renegotiate the interest rate?
Well, what we structured in this deal is a 10-year par call, so the bonds will be refundable after a 10-year period. Although with the current tax reform, the city no longer has the ability to do advance refunding bonds, so we would have to wait until it's a current refunding, which is 90 days prior to that call date. But we do have the ability to refund the bonds in the future if interest rates decrease.
Fell significantly.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
What are the risks if we waited, to the next meeting to approve this?
I think there's always interest rate risk. I mean, if you'll see, the Fed is expected to raise rates again at least 2 times over the next, through the end of the year. And I think the market is somewhat pricing that in. So you're seeing, the short-term interest rates really is where you're seeing most of the movement in upward. But that also kind of pushes the long end of the yield curve. So I think the biggest thing you risk is interest. Your biggest risk is interest rate movement. That you're issuing at higher interest rates.
So, like, what incentive do you have to go back for lower interest rates if they took another nosedive, for instance?
Well, prior to the tax reform, I think it was not my interest, but the interest of you guys, the client, to provide debt service savings in the future, to lower, similar to like your mortgage, if you were to go back and refinance that. So that way you can take advantage of lower rates and therefore pass that along to your citizens with lower debt service payments.
So further discussion, council? Questions? Okay, we do have a motion and a second for approval. If there's no further discussion, we will take action. All in favor? And motion does carry unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Thank you.
We'll move to item number 20. Item number 20 is conduct a public hearing on the intention to issue special assessment revenue bonds in connection with the Crystal Springs Public Improvement District authorized improvements. City of Leander, Texas Special Assessment Revenue Bonds Series 2018 Crystal Springs Public Improvement District process. Mr. Powers.
We just conducted a public hearing, didn't we?
Not on this one.
Not
We
on
just
this
did it on 19.
Okay.
Yep.
My role is to simply introduce the city's bond counsel to go over the legal particulars of this. And so at this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. David Mendez. He's right here.
Thank you, Mr. Mendez.
Mayor, council members, pleasure to be with you all this evening. This follows along from the presentation that your financial advisor just did and your city attorney. So with the establishment of the assessments for the district, you have before you in this item the ordinance that would authorize issuance of the bonds for the project and various other documents that are related to that. So what I was going to do is explain what's in the ordinance here just very briefly, then you can open it for any public comment if there is any, and then I'll be glad to address any questions you may have. So the ordinance before you authorizes the actual issuance of the bonds, and it does so through the approval by the council of an indenture that actually issues and administers the bond payments to the debt service that occurs under that and the handling of the proceeds from those bonds. Another instrument that you'll see cited in the ordinance is the bond purchase agreement, and this is simply the contract between yourselves and the Piper Jaffray folks, the bank that has agreed to underwrite the project, and the terms under which we'll deliver the bonds to them on May 23rd. The other instruments that are mentioned in there are a disclosure agreement. We have, as an issuer of bonds, a continuing disclosure of our financial condition to the limited extent that it applies to these bonds. As you know, these bonds do not carry and are not GO bonds, general obligation bonds of the city. So they are, the investors are relying solely on the revenues from this district. And so there's a continuing disclosure agreement that we enter into and that you authorize for the city under the ordinance. There is a separate agreement provided for under the bond purchase agreement that's entered into by the developer, and they have to continually update their progress on the subdivision as it goes forward to satisfy the needs of the investors. The other document that's in there is the final limited offering memorandum. When we put the bonds out in the market so that Mr. Allen and the underwriters could offer them for sale, that you offered them through this limited offering memorandum. This the ordinance simply allows us to update the document that's filed with the federal government on this, that is at the clearinghouse, to include the final pricing that we achieved today. So if the board wishes to go forward and accept the offer for the bonds as described by Mr. Allen, approval of this ordinance tonight would carry out all those functions. And if you approve it, I'll have the various officers execute the documents, present it to the Attorney General's office. I've pre-filed it there on Monday. I'll update their records with what you have here, and then on May 23rd, we should be in a position to deliver the bonds to the purchaser, and the funds will be delivered into your accounts.
Great. Thank you.
Sir.
You bet. This is a public hearing. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing at this time. Would anyone like to speak on this item? Would anyone like to speak on this item? Okay. No, sir. Sir, if you'll come on up. I'm going to need you to please state your name and address for the record, and then after you speak, if you'll please fill out one of these forms for us. It's okay.
I didn't know that was on the agenda. My name's Mark Harden, 606 Redbud Cove, Leander. That's just kind of shaky. I've got heard two different stories from two different people on this bonds, and I think for it to be approved right now, I think we ought to wait on it. That's just my opinion on this, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Public hearing is still open. Would anyone else like to speak on this item? Would anyone else like to speak on this item? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. We're going to move to discuss, consider an ordinance authorizing the issuance of the City of Leander, Texas Special Assessment Revenue Bond Series 2018 Crystal Springs Public Improvement District Project, approving and authorizing an Indenture of Trust, a bond purchase agreement, a landowner agreement, a continuing disclosure agreement, a limited offering memorandum, and other documents and agreements in connection therewithin, and providing for related matters. Council?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
Been a motion made for approval by Councilmember Stephenson with a second by Councilmember Shepard with a second by Councilmember Navarrette. So further discussion? All in favor? Motion does carry. Thank you. At this time, Council, I need to sign a ton of documents because of that last item. The time is 7:45. We're going to take about a 10-minute break. We're going to reconvene at 8:05. We are on our regular agenda. Item number 21, discuss and consider the D&W Paint Development Agreement, Case 17-DA-010 regarding the approval of the development agreement regarding the waterline extension and the platting process located at 2611 Hero Way, Leander, Williamson County, Texas. Ms. Shepard, do you have a statement?
Yes, I'm going to recuse myself from this item.
Great. We'll call you back when after we take action. Maybe.
Don't be mean.
Mr. Yannis.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a development agreement with D&W Paint, which is a local business that is relocating within the city to be able to expand their operations. And the site is on Hero Way, just east of County Road 269. The property needs to be platted, and it doesn't currently have access to sufficient water capacity for fire flows. However, the city is in the process of conducting a capital improvement project which will bring that water line closer to them. So what they're asking to be able to do is modify our subdivision process through this development agreement to be able to utilize the short form final plat process, which is typically reserved for plats that don't have to make public improvements, and this one technically does, but it's just a timing issue. So they're posting fiscal for the Phase 2 portion of the water line, which is the piece that will connect from where the city's project ends to their property, and waiting for us to, and they will, we will build that utilizing those funds as a part of our project. And there are also two other items are in this development agreement related to our process. Instead of constructing a sidewalk and planting street trees on Hero Way, they're paying a fee for those because the condition of that road will change in the future, and we didn't want those improvements to have to be removed and replaced as that roadway gets widened in the future. So those are the items, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council has.
Great. Council, this is an action item.
Motion to approve.
I second.
Been a motion made for approval by Councilmember Hill with a second by Councilmember Stephenson. Is there further discussion? All in favor? Motion does carry. Would you please, Ms. Dara, would you get Councilmember Shepard, please? Welcome back, Ms. Shepherd. We are on item number 22. Item number 22 is discuss and consider the second reading of an ordinance regarding zoning case 18-Z-007 to amend the current zoning of SFU-2B Single Family Urban to GC-2A General Commercial, GC-2B General Commercial, NR-2B Neighborhood Residential, and LC-2B Local Commercial on two parcels of land approximately 15.6 acres more or less in size, more particularly described by Williamson Central Appraisal District Parcels R512383 and R032149, generally located 700 feet more or less to the west of the intersection of Hero Way West and Bagdad Road on the south side of Bagdad Road, and addressed as 12245 Hero Way West, Leander, Williamson County, Texas. Council, before we move on this item, I do have an updated petition. If you'll recall, last time the petition was submitted, it did not meet the required landowners of 20% representation. This time, they have made a valid petition. It has been accepted and validated. It represents 27.5070%. So what that means is we are going to accept this petition and call it valid, and it would require 6 votes for any action to happen in any direction on this item. So we will now move. Mr. Yanis.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the second reading of the rezoning case that the Mayor described. As the Council will recall, this was approved on first reading with a vote of 5-2 to approve the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation with a couple of modifications. The P&Z recommendation was to approve the GC2A, LC2A with a condition that there were no hours of operation restrictions, and the NR2B district. The Council approved that recommendation with 2 modifications, the first being that the LC parcel would be limited to no drive-through service lanes, and that it would also have a 30-foot building setback on the western property line. So that was the Council's action on first reading, and we are back for second reading, and as the Mayor stated, because of the valid petition, approval would require 6 votes. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great. Council, I have multiple speakers on this item. I'm going to go ahead and ask Dina Root. Sure, if you come up and state your name and address for the record, and the clock will come on, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, Deanna Root, 205 Michael Cove, Leander, Texas, 78641. Thank you, council members. Thank you, Mayor. I'm just here to provide an updated suggestion from our community. As you know, our community does not want this property rezoned. However, if it were to be rezoned, we have come to the agreement that we would prefer the property where the neighborhood residential is to be LO, local office, instead, with a 8-foot masonry wall on the western side of the property, which is adjacent Westwood. In addition to that, we would like a 30-foot setback for LO, which is an increase from, I believe, the 20-foot standard setback. As a side note, the property owner indicated that the front part of the property, the front western part that's currently proposed at LC, they would like it to stay that way. Our community is asking for it to go LO. I will leave it to them to discuss further, but I'm just letting you know that that's a discussion that we did have with them. We have worked hard as a community to work with both the engineer and the property owner, and we are hopeful that you will make a decision tonight as opposed to tabling the discussion. I feel as though if we were going to table the discussion, we should have done it at the last meeting. So hopefully y'all can come to the conclusion that we can vote on this and move forward. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Mike Sanders.
My name is Mike Sanders, and I live at 1016 West South Street in Leander. And I'd like to preface my comments, first of all, by expressing my thanks to each of you who are serving on the council. I appreciate the time that you give and have given for an extended period of time. In this election cycle, a lot of negativity is being expressed, a lot of things that people would like to see changed. And but amidst all of this, I'd like to also recognize all that you've done and continue to do for our city and express my appreciation. I'd also like to ask everyone to come out and vote on March the 5th, which is 2 days from now.
I'm sorry, I've got to stop you at this point. Do you have something on this item? We have to speak on this item. Thank you.
Regarding item number 22, last reading of this, I was here and listened to, I don't know, roughly 15 or 20 of the adjacent landowners expressing their opinion of the zoning change and pleading with the council to please not approve the change that was being requested by the landowner. And as I was listening to that, and in the conversations that I've had since then, it seems to me that in a way, our council is sort of being used by this landowner, is kind of the opinion that I have. It doesn't seem like this landowner is intending to build anything on this land. He just, from what I'm understanding, wants to change the zoning so that he can sell it and make another $1 million at your expense. And if that is the case, I just think that's wrong. I think that it shouldn't be just rezoned without any plans for what you're going to actually build on there. So I just wanted to express that.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Sanders. Will Hudson?
Yeah, hi, Will Hudson, 320 Bellow Drive. My property abuts the property. I'm in the LC portion of the property. As Deanna said very eloquently, many of the neighbors have made a lot of attempt to work with the property owner. He first contacted us about 4 days ago, so hasn't really had time to set in or in any way percolate into a fully formed idea, although I do think that there is a general consensus among the neighbors that I've talked to that there's an opportunity to go LO along the strip of the property that abuts our houses. Very much more agreeable to us in terms of the health of our families, the well-being of our families, the light and noise pollution caused by what would be LC. LO would be mostly taking business hours operations while we're away at work, which doesn't affect us and our families nearly so much, while at the same time preserving a significant value for the property owner. So I would like the council to consider that this whole process has been very rushed. It has been the minimum amount of time required to do anything, to do each step in this process. As a result, as community members, we've been very rushed getting involved in the process. We haven't had a great opportunity to coalesce, as you've seen by the fact that we did not have the petition fully formed the last time we met. We do this time. There's significant opposition in the community to rezoning this piece of property, as you can see by the fact that the subsequent petition has over 150 signatures already. We would love to have more time in the form of a no vote. That would allow us all at least 6 months to regroup, come back together, work with the landowner, potentially come up with a best case scenario for everybody. There could be a win-win here. It's just not this proposal. So please, we ask you to vote no on this. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Michelle, what? I'm sorry, what's the last name?
Blank, like a blank piece of paper.
Yes, ma'am.
Michelle Blank, 1508 Candlelight Drive. I actually had the benefit of participating in the meeting with the investor on Sunday when we talked to him. And as the gentleman from South Street, I believe, mentioned, it did sound like he was just looking for rezoning and not actually looking to develop the land himself. I'm part of the group that agrees that we should see local office, the entire strip, both the NR and the local commercial portion. So, I mean, that's extremely agreeable to us. So, again, please, I would also encourage a no vote. We are absolutely willing to work with him and try to find something that will work for everybody. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Michael Eckert.
Hi, I'm Michael Eckert. I live at 302 Bellow Drive. Thank you for hearing us. We talked the last time here, and we did meet with the landowner at our home this past Sunday, and I really appreciate them coming out with his engineer and his realtor and to try to have a conversation of what would work best. And it seems like to me that we're on the same page. There's just one little issue, and y'all had voted on something else where it was a residential right there, and none of us want that. Okay, we really don't want fourplexes all along the back of our house. It's a general consensus with us that we do an LO all the way back there. We'd much rather see the back of an office building and as such, and the hours of operation, that kind of thing. The consensus with the landowners are the property owners is LO all the way to the front. The only difference, I think, that with the landowner behind us is that he definitely wants to keep that front section LC, but we would like it LO, and we just ask that y'all just look at this situation and see if we could come up with something that's going to work for everybody. Okay? Thank you.
Great, thank you. Cheryl Allen?
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, council members. I know I've spoken before, and as you know, that I am opposed to the property being rezoned from single family. As a property owner, my property immediately backs up to this property that's being proposed. I did my due diligence when I purchased my property to find out what that was zoned as, and I would not have bought my home if it was zoned as any type of commercial. My concerns are not only the noise and the light pollution, but mainly the negative impact the rezoning can have on my property and the ability to enjoy my home and my backyard. The current proposed zoning of NR for the back of the property, which relates to more dense residential population, and the zoning of LC on the front part, to which the council had elected to remove the restrictions of operation, it really does not suit the area, the neighborhood. There hasn't been any development plan provided that indicates the current proposed zoning is of such a benefit to the city that it negates the damage and the consequences that myself and my neighbors would have to endure. While I fully understand that the owner has the right to seek the most benefit from his investment, we are the voting citizens of Leander and feel that our interests should be the ones taken into consideration. We are the ones that live here, and we are the ones that vote here. To my knowledge, the owner doesn't even live in Leander. I know he's interested in getting his profit and moving on down the road, while we are left to deal with the consequences of the aftermath. My neighbors and I have met with the owner, and we came up with what we feel is a legitimate compromise that we urge the council to consider. The parts that are right now currently being proposed as LC and NR, to make those LO. That's only the parts that join on the neighborhood. To keep the hours of operation for the LO as stated in the zoning ordinance. Have an 8-foot masonry wall along the length of the property that adjoins the neighborhood with a 30-foot setback and a vegetation easement. We really don't want this tabled. We would like to have a vote as to the outcome of this. We have well over 150 signatures, plus we have online petitions that, I'm not sure if y'all recognize those or not, but there is quite a bit of opposition for this proposed zoning. If it would be okay, I would like to have everybody that is here for our number 22, please stand just for a moment. And these are the people that could make it. So thank you for y'all's support, and I just really urge and ask y'all to please reconsider this proposed zoning and to do something that would be beneficial to the residents of the neighborhood.
Thank you, Danielle Romero.
Thank you. It's Danielle Hernandez Romero, and I live at 2215 Lauren Loop. My property does not back up to the property in question, but I'm here in support of my neighbors and the community. So I'm asking that you guys vote no, and I want it to be on the record. I'm so happy to hear that we got 27% vote there, and I just want to say, please allow the community to work out a win-win situation. So please vote no. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Council, that's everyone I have signed up to speak. This is an action item.
I'll make a motion to approve the LO along the Westwood Subdivision that has previously been proposed as NR and LC.
I'll second.
And
I got
let him finish the motion.
Sorry.
I'd also like to keep the 30-foot setback and add the 8-foot masonry wall to that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. I'm going to recognize Pro Tem with the motion. The motion is the entire property is LO?
No, the portion that was proposed as NR, and then the LC that's up above the Westwood Subdivision. The rest of the property could be GC.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the hours of operation?
I think the hours of operation in LO is is correct.
Are fine. And
And the,
recognize Councilmember Navarrete with the second?
Correct, sir.
Okay, great.
the 8-foot masonry wall.
8-foot
An
masonry wall,
8-foot
yes.
masonry wall.
So, and you did say that proposed LC2B at the bottom there would be JC also on the eastern side of the LO, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so one thing at a time. And Mr. Yanis?
No, I'm just going to pull up the map so we
Yep.
can just point to, hang on one second.
You have the map, the other map?
So, right now, hang on, there's another one in here that
Right.
has the correct, well, it's not in here. In the packet, which I think I could bring up, but regardless, there's a line right here.
Right.
Essentially, this section up here was LC. All of this is NR. The proposal, as I understand it, is for everything along the western boundary to be LO.
Correct.
The remainder up here is GC, GC, LC.
I'd make the
No.
the LC down there at GC.
Okay.
So
I'm
GC
sure.
goes all the way up and down the eastern
So it's gonna
side
be-
of the
Okay,
property.
I would
Yeah.
also like to mention that that front section, that's LC2A right now, would that remain LO
Correct.
2A? 2A, A architectural, okay.
Okay, so let's just, like I said, one item at a time. So LO 2A, everything adjoining the property.
Everything on the west boundary of the property.
West boundary, you want a 30-foot setback,
Correct.
8-foot wall,
Yes.
and then the remainder of the property would be GC 2,
Whoa.
oh,
Oh, that's Mike. Mike did it.
GC2B.
GC 2B.
Mike, there's another page.
But it's
in the
GC2A along the frontage of the road, is that?
I'm
that
okay with
gonna
GC2A.
also- That'll say it's remain, okay.
It's the one called Planning and Zoning Commission, excuse me, number 9, Mike. Thanks. Okay, so the LC2A and the NR2B convert to LO2A.
Yes.
The GC2A remains at the frontage along Hero Way West, and then the remainder of the property would be GC2B.
With a 30-foot setback and an 8-foot wall.
Correct.
Correct.
Does everyone understand the motion? Are you okay with the second?
Absolutely.
Okay, does everyone understand the motion? Okay, there is a motion, a second. This does require, yes,
I just have a question
Huh?
about the normal hours of operation.
normal under.
The LO hours.
Of the LO hours, right. Again, this does require 6 votes to pass or to fail. So we do have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion on this item? All in favor? Motion does carry 7-0. The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Yanis. Thank you, citizens, for coming out, working with us on that.
I just want to mention, I read all your emails, so I wanted you to know that. I didn't answer them. I wanted to let you know. I read them and I heard, so thank you.
Great, we're going to move to item number 23. Item number 23 is discuss and consider the extension
Thank y'all.
of the expiration for subdivision case 13-PICP-021. I'm going to wait just a second.
Let them clear. Absolutely.
Oh, sure.
Council, that's a way to work together.
Okay, great. Item number 23, discuss and consider the extension of the expiration for subdivision case 13-PICP-021 Fairways at Crystal Falls, Section 2, Phases 5 and 8, construction plans for 35.89 acres more or less. Travis Central Appraisal District Parcels 899-209, -899-220, and 898-727-898-742, generally located to the east of the intersection of Longbow Drive and First View for Section 2, Phase 5, generally located to the south of the intersection of Ambush Canyon and Longbow Drive for Section 2, Phase 8, Leander, Travis County, Texas. Mr. Yanis.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a request for an extension to the expiration for a set of construction plans for the fairways at Crystal Falls, Section 2, Phases 5 and 8. This is in our ordinance that all of our construction plan approvals have an expiration if the improvements haven't been built within a certain time frame. The developer has had some issues with some of the logistics of this area because of some of the topography, and they have just requested that this be extended so they can complete those improvements. And they also had a preceding phase that took longer, which also received an extension that was needed to be finished before they could get to this one. So the Planning and Zoning Commission did approve this extension on a 4-3 vote, which is somewhat unusual, but it was related to the fact that the applicant was not in attendance at the commission meeting to explain their request, and that has been requested by the commission on multiple occasions. So that was their reason for the 3 dissenters. Anyway, that's what's before you tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Council?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
There's been a motion made for approval by Councilmember Abruzzese, second by Councilmember Stephenson. Further discussion?
I just would like to
Ms. Shepherd?
go on record in agreement with P&Z. When the applicant makes this kind of request, it would be a responsibility in my mind for them to appear.
Is the applicant here tonight?
I do not believe so.
Okay. There is a motion and a second for approvals or further discussion?
Mayor?
Yep.
Also, too, I'd just like to state, we're not making any kind of, I just want to make sure we're not setting a precedence, that these extensions are common, but I do understand with the topography and the issues related to the project. That's why we're going to delay this, though.
Right.
Great. There's a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion does, nope, all opposed? Yeah.
I'm going to stick.
Are you?
I'm not opposed.
Okay, so the motion carries 6-1, pro tem silent voting nay. Item number 24, discuss and consider the first reading of an ordinance voluntarily annexing 64.380 acres more or less of land out of the Anastasia Carr Survey, abstract number 122, recorded in volume 2542, page 838 of the public records of Williamson County, Texas, setting an annexation schedule, providing for open meetings and other related matters. Mr. Yanis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the first reading of this voluntary annexation of the 64.380 acres. This is at the intersection of County Road 175 and Journey Parkway on the southwest corner. The council did hold 2 public hearings back on March the 29th and April the 5th, and we are scheduled to conduct the second and final reading of this annexation ordinance on May the 17th. And I will just note that on that May 17th date, we'll also have an amendment to the annexation development agreement to leave in place the annexation development agreement for the remainder of the property that was originally subject to it. This is a piece of that original tract. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Great. Council, this is an action item.
On motion to approve.
Second.
A motion made for approval by Councilmember Shepherd with a second by Councilmember Navarrette. So further discussion? All in favor? Motion does carry. Item number 25, discuss and consider a resolution directing publication of notice of public hearing on the intention to issue refunding bonds. Mr. Powers, I always like refunding bonds.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do too. We have an opportunity to save some money. The city currently has $10,860,000 in outstanding bonds that were issued in 2010 that are currently eligible to be called, which is means they could be refinanced. So the city's charter requires public hearing and notice before that action can be taken. So this would authorize staff to publish the notice and give notice to the public that at the May 17th meeting, if you agree, we will bring back the refunding on those bonds. The preliminary anticipated savings is $400,000 over the remaining 12-year life of the bond. So it's not as large as we've had in the past, but it's still large. So we recommend moving forward with this.
Correct. Council?
On motion to approve.
Second.
Been a motion made for approval by Councilmember Shepherd with a second by Councilmember Hill. Is there further discussion? All in favor? Motion does carry. Thank you, Mr. Powers. Item number 26, Discuss and consider additional service contract to task order HAI-2 with Half Associates, design and oversee construction of Lakewood Park to add design of an additional restroom facility at the kayak launch and extend the roadway and utilities to the launch facility in the amount of $65,390, and authorize the city manager to execute any and all necessary documents. Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As you saw earlier this evening, the presentation on Lakewood Park, this is part of that same discussion and adding for those additional permitting, bid assistance, preliminary construction phase cost, and construction dock cost in the amount of $65,390, as the Mayor said. It exceeds the threshold that we can internally approve, so we're coming to you for your consideration and approval tonight. So Mr. Hay is still with us if you have any questions you'd like to ask.
Great. Council?
Motion to approve.
A second.
It's been a motion made for approval by Pro Tem Siler, a second by Councilmember Stephenson. No, I just was checking which one it was.
They all sound the same.
They all sound the same down there. I know, they don't understand.
Wow.
Great. Is there further discussion? All in favor? Motion
You can never
does
have
carry.
too many bathrooms.
Thank you. Item number 27 is to discuss and consider an operating agreement and lease agreement between the City of Leander and the Greater Williamson County YMCA for the Leander Community Recreation Center operational management and recreation program partnership, and authorizing the city manager to execute any and all necessary documents. Mr. Thomas, before you speak, I do have a speaker on this item. I'm going to call up Mr. Phil Canatori. Mr. Canatori, being a police officer, I'm not going to have you state your address. If you'll just state your name, please, for the record.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Phil Contatori. I'm a resident of Leander, and I'm here to speak to you a little bit about this bond here tonight. This bond was voted in 2016, Proposition 3. It narrowly passed, as you might remember, 689 to 609. This bond is not to exceed $18 million for land, construction, equipment of a recreation center. Unfortunately, it's not a recreation center we're building. We're actually building a YMCA. The sites, my question really comes down to, in the bond, we talked about the locations of this recreation center, possibly in the TOD, possibly with ACC, possibly at Tom Glen, or other locations. One of the questions I have is, how was this location selected? What citizen input do we have? And how do we look to see what kind of demographics are in what area that might be able to use that? I have questions also about what agreements may have been made with the city, between the City of Leander or the YMCA with ACC. I have a lot of questions on whether or not ACC staff and students will be allowed to use that facility at either free or reduced rates as they're being advertised at this time. My understanding that ACC wants that free rate and reduced rates for their membership and staff and students. Why would the taxpayers subsidize a YMCA for 5 years, not including the $18 million, at a cost of $175,000, and give ACC students and staff a free ride on our tax dollars? Doesn't make sense. A recreation center is designed for the youth of our community and the community as a whole. I've spent my life working with youth. I'm an adoptive father. I've been a founding president and executive director of a police activities league in Austin. I know what it is to provide youth services. We provided athletic and educational and camp activities for youth all over the city of Austin. Why did we do that? We did that because by engaging our youth, we're able to lower crime rates, juvenile crime rates through the summer when parents are working. Those working parents can't afford the YMCA. I know some are going to say the YMCA does offer subsidies to help some low-income families. But if you look at the rate that those subsidies are actually given out, it's very limited. It's very hard to get. It's only if they have the money will they give those resources. I've read the bond. I understand that it says that we'll try to give those resources to Leander residents first. I appreciate that. I looked at the YMCA in Cedar Park to see what their fees were. So for a $42 a month fee, you can get an individual membership. A family of one or with one adult, $70. 2 adults, it's $80 a month. The families that I serve and the kids that need the help can't afford that rate.
Mr. Thomas?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. We met 2 weeks ago. We mentioned to you that we selected to work and partner with the YMCA of Greater Williamson County. Before we move into questions or answers that you have, I have Jeff Andreessen with us, the CEO of YMCA, and he has a presentation he'd like to share with you at this time. So, Mr. Andreessen.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Appreciate the time. I'm going to go through this. If you have any questions along the way, sure, please ask me any questions you may have. So today, 60% of the YMCAs in the country are built in partnership with some form of a municipality, where cities are considering to do more with less. They typically find those progressive cities build their rec centers in cooperation with an entity like the Y. How did this start? We started, oh goodness sakes, a number of years ago with an MOU that was sent to the Y by your city. Basically said that if you had an interest in having a YMCA in your community, we outlined what we would like to do. We both signed it, and then we started down the process of doing market research to test your local community, which has about a 94.5% accuracy, and then we went out after that and started the bond process.
And can I jump in right there on that survey, or if that's the word, the survey, the
market research.
The market research, there you go. That was actually at a substantial cost that we split between the YMCA and the
Yes.
city. It was around 32 grand
It was
total.
about, actually, what happened was that the Y paid half, and you guys paid, I shouldn't say half, because you guys actually paid for the ACC part too,
Right.
which was an extra $4,000 if I remember right.
Correct.
And so we included ACC in the study to figure out what their students wanted and what they'd be willing to pay. So yes, we did share that half and half basically. So why would a community like you want to do that? Well, here's kind of the outline. If you consider a rec center has a life cycle of, let's say, a 30-year term, and if you consider a rec center or a YMCA that has an operating budget of $2 million, first you got to construct it. So somebody's got to pay for it. And so like in this case, if you guys are going to build your rec center, you're going to build it for $18 million. Next thing is that the best in class, because I've published on this fact, the best in class across the country typically has what the cities typically call a recapture rate of about 50%. It means that your fees that are paid across the counter at your rec center cover 50% of your operating costs. That's about best in class.
May I ask a question there?
Yes, please.
So you're assuming that there would be some, in a municipal operated rec center, you're assuming they're going to charge some fees.
Oh yeah. What happens is that from our research, what we found is that what will happen is that because taxpayers, we studied about 48 of these centers across the country, and what overwhelmingly came back was that the concern is that the taxpayers paid for the construction, and so there's a feeling that the fee for the center, the usage of the center, should be lower, and so oftentimes they lower that price, and then what happens is that the non-recaptured rate drops to the general fund or some other fund of the city. So in the case that we went, we found out that 50% was about the best in class. There was many below that. In fact, when we were working with Taylor, the city of Taylor, it was in the 30%.
Did you find any that just operated free?
We did not. It depended on the amenity.
Yes.
With the size one that we studied, right? There was none that I found. Right. We found that ran for free. So when you think about that at a 50% rate, right? And if your center is costing you $2 million a year to operate, you would have a recapture rate of $1 million. So over the term of 30 years, you'd be at $30 million. If you lowered that, if you charged less, then it could go up. So the term would be about a $30 million cost. In the case of a non-partner arrangement, you'd have all the costs for capital equipment and capital maintenance on that equipment. Our experience is in one of our centers, it's about $3.7 million over the term. It costs about $1.2 million to put the initial material equipment in there, and then you have to refresh it over the term. And then you have the capital maintenance on the asset. And what we do is we average about $100,000. Now, it's, of course, you got warranties through the first period, but then they start to add up. You replace the roof, you do whatever you have to do. We typically push back about $100,000 for facilities we own. So that's $3 million over a 30-year term. So conservatively, you have about a $54 million cost over that term for operations and construction and maintenance. In the type of arrangement that we recommended in our agreement that we presented to Mark was in the facility construction, the city pays for it. On the operations, what we said stated in the MOU that we developed with you guys years ago was that you cover until we reach 4,000 units of membership. The study came back, which I'll show you in a minute, at about 3,700. That study was done 3 years ago. So you've had population growth since then. So hitting the 4,000 unit should be a very doable deal. It takes a while. In this study, what Kent and I asked the research to do was to give us a 5-year look. And so they came back with a 5-year look and said you're going to hit 3,720 units, and we're stealing 888 from our Twin Lakes Y. So you're going to, basically, the day you open, you're going to have 888 units from Twin Lakes, which will make our Twin Lakes Y suffer, but ultimately,
They're too crowded anyway.
there you go. There you go. Okay, so the cost of that 5-year ramp is about $500,000. The equipment and FF&E is covered 100% by the Y, and then the capital maintenance, we have what's called a maintenance reserve. As soon as we hit the 4,000 units mark and we can cover our costs, our maintenance reserve kicks in, and we push about $34,000 a year. And what Kent and I discussed was we looked at the surfaces, all the paint, the carpet, the tile, replacement of any countertops, all those things that have horrendous wear and tear through the and that would be 100% cost of the Y. So you drop that out, and it's about savings of about 1.2. So you have a 20.3 compared to the 54.7, which is about a $30 million savings over the term. That's why they do these deals. I mean, that's why many municipalities do that. So the key points to our partnership really is the city constructs the center with input and design, because when we did the research, we basically took 800 phone calls from your community, and they said what they wanted. So we have to build what they want, or the numbers don't play out. Our goal, our job, is to serve as many Leander residents as possible, ensure a quality experience, and reach financial stability within 5 years. And here's what the Y brings to the table. So, first thing is you got to supply it, and we provided in our work with the RFP description of the $1.2 million worth of equipment we'll put in the facility. Next thing is we have to refresh and repair that equipment over the term. We have 100% cost of all financial aid. A community like this has about 10% of your community base. The national average is 10% of your folks will require some level of financial aid. In Williamson County, we provide 11%. In our current YMCA structure, we provide $1.4 million a year for free and reduced fees and scholarships. We raise that money every year. The minute we would start a YMCA in Leander, we'd have to raise more money, both locally and from a county level. 100% of the costs associated with repair and replacement of all surfaces, 100% of janitorial. The first $1,000 of any capital asset. This is a standard for us in all the communities that we run their rec centers. If an HVAC system that was sitting on the roof that was there during construction breaks down, we pay the first $1,000. Oftentimes that just fixes it. If the thing breaks down again or goes to 1,001, you pick up the one. That renews every year. So we look at it on an annual basis. Sir?
You had on the earlier screen the capital maintenance was $100,000 a year.
Yes, I said if you own the building, when we own the building, we anticipate $100,000 worth of capital maintenance a year for the buildings that we own. right? And so what we do is we have a long-term maintenance fund for the assets that we own. We have a short-term maintenance fund that is built into every operation. And so this is our short-term maintenance fund, which is in this situation, it grows with the size of your budget. It's a percentage of the gross revenue. In this case, it's year 5, it's $34,000. So we pay for, out of those two things, we pay that fee, those fees for capital assets that break down, and surfaces.
What is your average repair cost or on the buildings that you don't own then?
$1,000 per.
No, I know per incidence,
Yes.
but you don't have like an average that your
No, it
YMCA
depends.
is paying.
It depends. What happens is we have to maintain, we have one of those on the far right top, we have to cover 100% of maintenance contracts. So we have an HVAC contract. We have a pool equipment contract. And so we are through that contract. We meet every year with the municipality, with our contract provider. We sit down, we say, okay, it looks like Unit 15 is going to need this, this, and this, or it's on its last legs. So every year we address those issues. But there is no standard amount unless something goes real bad.
Yeah, I was
depending
just,
on the age
I
of the facility.
I think that on buildings that you do not own, you would know what your average costs are per year, because that, if you're only paying $1,000, obviously that's important.
I could provide that to you, Troy, if you'd
That'd
like.
be great.
Yeah, I'll get it to you. Yeah, it's interesting because like Burnett, we inherited that or took that building over from the city when it was built in the 90s, and we took it over 3 years ago. Hutto, had most of that equipment had a 3-year warranty. The other buildings were built new, so I'll provide that to you.
Okay.
All right. So I thought I'd show you a little video.
Hi, I'm Brenna. I'm from Round Rock, Texas. We're a family of 5 here. My husband is a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps. My oldest is 11. She's in 5th grade. My middle one is 10. He's in 4th grade. And my little one is only 3. We've been members with the Hutto YMCA since August last year. So my husband, he lives out of state with the Marine Corps. He's currently deployed, and he just loves knowing that we have the YMCA here, that we're not just sitting at home and being lazy and not getting into the community. He loves that we come here all the time, and we just have something to do while he can't be here with us right now. The activities we like to do at the Y, my youngest likes to go to the playroom. My oldest loves to do the cooking classes, and my middle child, he loves to come here and swim in the pool. The YMCA definitely provides a lot of one-on-one time for me and the 3-year-old to have fun. She loves coming here every day. She yells at me at home if I don't bring her here to the Y so that she can play too. My oldest, she took the cooking class here, is taking one right now. She loves it. She's been cooking at home more too. It's really nice. She's 11, so it's nice for her to get those skills and have fun with other children her age here at the YMCA. The programs that the Y offers are just more family-oriented and affordable for our family of 5 on a tight military budget. There's just so much more here that we can do.
So the market research that the mayor was talking about was 600 phone calls to your community plus 200 to existing members of the Twin Lakes Y, because there's an overlap in service area. The unique study findings is that 12.7% of your community said that they expressed an interest in joining the Y, because that's what they described to them. The national average was 4.5. They were going to join if these components were included. The 2 locations that were studied had significant impact on our Twin Lakes Y. The site near the high school had less cannibalization. Low price sensitivity, which is critical. Each one of these studies talks, when we set up the study questions, we talked about price sensitivity. We started, I think, off, and Kent, you'll not remember any better than me, but I think we started off like at $45, then went to $55, and then to $65. And the response that came back, they basically said, if these amenities were offered in your community, would you pay $65? And the person said, yes, I'd join for $65. They didn't even go to $55 and $45. They say, that's called low price sensitivity. The two locations. This is the membership units that came out of it. And the only thing that's real significant here is the difference between how many are cannibalized from Cedar Park. There's 888 units of Leander folks that are using the Cedar Park Y, and that was 3 years ago. So it's 3,720 units of membership. So a typical YMCA runs at a 60-40 mix. 60% of the money comes in through across the counter for membership. 40% comes from program. That's how the national Y, when you get a mature Y, that's how the revenue mix happens. This is the pro forma that we put into the RFP. Very similar. All the data that came from the study fed this pro forma. So if you look across the top, it tells you how we ramp up membership. You can see in year one, we are going to push to 2,500 units of membership. That means you have to end the year at 2,500. You don't reach 2,500 because, like so many, I don't know how if you guys understand this business, what happens is that a bunch of people get excited about joining, and they join in January, but they can't keep that enthusiasm up for one reason or another. And this business has about a 60% retention rate. So you climb that hill, and you have to reach a certain amount to end the year at 2,500. This is a fairly aggressive plan. You can see in this process, well, you wouldn't know it, but all those numbers relate to the market research, exactly what the folks told us would happen. The program revenue ramp up. This is those folks that they're coming to the Y and they're paying for their child to participate in a swim lesson, or they're paying for their child to be in a soccer program or a clinic or a camp or something like that. That ramps up to the 40% in year 5. My experience is that's fairly aggressive. You can see the scholarship fundraising, local and metro. That means that in year 1, locally, we're probably going to raise around $25,000, and we're going to match it from our association level fundraising. Bring funds from outside Leander to here. It'll stabilize out probably around the 150 mark, which is where our 4,000 unit YMCA is raised. Our Chasco Y in Round Rock raises about 225. Our Twin Lakes Y raises about 180. So it kind of gives you an idea where they're at, but they're a little older than 5 years. And then the cost. The costs relate to all the associated. There is about 980 YMCAs across the country, and our research center in Chicago sets the operating ratios. They basically say the average operating ratio for a town like Leander, and they tell us how you operate. We beat those ratios by about 2%, and it's just because of our mix is a little different. And then you can see at the bottom where the net surplus loss is, but you can see the city subsidy required in the first 5 years. You can see the fifth year is canceled out because we run at basically 100.7, which means that we're dang close to balance. So we expect to be at 4,000 units by the end of year 5.
And if you reach,
say,
hang on, if you reach that 4,000
earlier, we won't require the subsidy.
Okay.
And if we don't reach it?
It's on us. Okay, so inside that, we were asked in the RFP to provide how many jobs are here. There's about, at stabilization, there's between 100 and 125 jobs, both part-time and full-time at the location. We centralize our services out of our Round Rock Metro office, the office that I supervise. Those services are maintenance, our maintenance reserve. So every YMCA pays into this maintenance reserve fund, and then we feed it back out. Even though they pay 1% in, some years they get more than 1% back, depending on what those activities are, what's happening. They also pay into a technology reserve, so all their refresh on their technology is at 0.25%. Their metro support, we have all of our HR, all of our accounting, all of our payroll is done out of that central office. And so it drops it down to 11%. If you had an independent YMCA or an independent center, like, say, Waco, their administrative costs are like 20 to 22%. There's a national movement to start blending Ys together, which is basically why what we do. So we have a contingency fund. Every YMCA, this is another thing, inside that budget that I showed you is a contingency of 1.5. So if you take the contingency at the end of the year, which for here, if you had a $2 million budget, take 1.5% of that, it backs back out, and that helps them balance. If they get in problems, they can utilize that, but it takes association approval. So it's the savings account that each branch has. You have your marketing reserve. We do that big old monster push in January, February, then we do it again before June. Everybody pitches into it. We buy our TV and radio and share it with the Austin Y. So it adds up to about 14.53% of what goes. So inside that budget at the local branch, they all pay into this. It's a very efficient way to do it. So we have part of our thing is about social responsibility. The Jones family joins the Y for healthy living and youth development, and they can pay, but the Smith family can't. The idea is how do we help the Smith family? So ultimately, we want both of them to participate. We don't want to turn anybody away. So our financial assistance guidelines are here. They're granted based on documented financial need. Most recent signed federal income tax, 1040, blah, blah, on and on and on. Financial assistance be granted for a defined period of time. So a lot of people come in and say, hey, I want my kid to swim, take a swim lesson. So that financial aid is good for that swim lesson. We check their documentation at the end of it if they sign up again. If somebody signs up for an annual membership, it's good for 6 months. We check it in 6 months. Their financial situation can change, either for the good or the bad. The qualifications are right there. That's approved by our board. So 0 to 35, they can catch her 50% off. If it's 35 to 45, it's 25%. And if it's 45 to 55, it's 15. Now, the branch exec has the right to award above that and beyond that if it's a special circumstance. And we do it all the time. Somebody's spouse is sick, they lost a job, something like that. 100% is not out of the question. We have branches that raise, say if a branch raises 50 and we give them 50 from the metro and they have 100,000 to give out that year, if they only give out 90, we take those funds from that and help another branch. So and we look at these, our association looks at these every 2 years. We basically follow the free and reduced lunch rate.
I want to have a question about
Yes.
Leander residents taking priority.
Yeah.
How are you going to implement that?
Michelle, we don't know yet.
Okay.
But it was very clear that that's what you wanted. We don't have that anywhere else, right? But like in Burnett, it doesn't matter because there's not too many else around them. Mm-hmm. But what we're going to have to figure out how to do, and we'll probably work with Mark and Kent, and we'll figure out, okay, then what's the process? Some what happens is, so as you gather them up, right? If it's a soccer season coming up, you gather those FA forms up and you sit in a stack. So the idea would be is you sit in a stack and then you take the Leander residents out, they get first priority. Then the others wait. It's always nice to tell somebody when they sign up, you get it, here you go. You don't want to make them wait, right? We'll probably have to figure something out, but we'll find a way. We're committed to that. We understand that's what you want.
And how do we qualify Leander residents? I mean,
you're going to have to tell us if it includes the ETJ or not. Right.
That's open.
You're going to have to tell us what that means.
Or Summerlin or Blockhouse, one of these other neighborhoods that have Leander addresses.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We have several neighborhoods that have Leander addresses but aren't taxpayers in Leander.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we would wanna...
That's the part where you just tell us. Yeah. Okay, so as I mentioned, there's almost 1,000 YMCAs across the country. There's a reciprocal agreement. So if your Leander member joins here, they go use any YMCA across the country. So I mentioned this earlier, but you can see how the structure is built. Is that in year one, we have to sell 3,000 units of membership to end the year at 2,500. That's very aggressive. The only thing going for us in this situation is that 888 of them are probably going to say, yippee, I don't have to drive as far. So that's aggressive. And you can see how that grows.
What was the population, though, when you did this study?
Oh, I'd have to look. I don't know.
3 years ago, it was, yeah. But in the study, they took into account that it was going to be a number of years before we opened, and they took into account growth. But what they didn't take into account was the type of growth we've had. No one expected that or projected that.
So the numbers are probably pretty conservative.
Yes.
Right. And they used our current prices. The fellow that mentioned our prices just earlier, he quoted our current prices today. What was studied was the current prices of that day. And so there's about a $10 difference. And so that'll play a little bit into it, but I don't know how significant. So what are we going to offer? This, when we worked with the RFP, these are our three areas, right, that the Y does. And so some of them are done by volunteers and some are done staff-driven. Let's take a closer look at that. As you could expect, we provided in the RFP response all the programs that would be offered. It's a full facility Y, so all the youth, all the family programs are provided. So free to membership, if you join your YMCA, your child is going to get basically free sports 4 times a year. You as an adult are going to get about, Cameron, how many fitness classes a week? 70 fitness classes a week. Child Watch is free to family members. And so while your kid's working, where you're working out, your kid's in Child Watch. There's also Free Family Friday. Those are standard things that are offered. We also do special events. In each one of our communities, we do major special events, and most of them are in cooperation with the city or a major corporation within the city. Aquatics, key piece. The facility that came out of the study had both an indoor aquatics center and outdoor component, very similar to Twin Lakes.
I had a question.
Yes, sir.
During the discussion during the bonds, it was talked about LISD might want to use the pool. I mean, did that go away? Did it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Troy, years ago when they built the stadium, right, we had a bond package on there for a swimming pool, and it failed. I can't speak for the district, but the issue then was how does the district provide both sides of its constituents aquatics services? I have seen where once the shovel hits the ground, right, or they know the shovel's actually going to hit the ground, it becomes more of a reality. Our Twin Lakes, our Hutto YMCA, we failed a bond election in Hutto for an auditorium as well, but we carried a capital design with the ISD for a future pool for a future bond. So in that design, there's a future pool. I know the Austin Y is because the service line is at Anderson Mill. That's where Williamson County and Austin change hands. And so the Austin Y is talking to Concordia. And so the thought is if they can put a pool in Concordia, which Concordia wants a pool, they would have that side of the district served, and then could they put a pool on our part? I think only time will tell. We'll have to see. I can't speak to it. I don't know if it'll happen or not. I think there's some great synergies, and it happens all over the place. Very common. It's the thing about it is 85% of folks that join rec centers for aquatics. Their interest in aquatics. It's for recreational instructional pool. It is not for lap swimming. Only 15% of them. So what we typically build follows that model. Yeah, you have very few. So like when we did Cedar Park, we built Cedar Park. We went to Leander ISD and said, hey, we're only going to build 4 lanes. Lap swimming. Do you want to, help us build that? They just couldn't. That location didn't fit their needs.
Jeff, I think just for everybody to understand that the facility that's contemplated right now does not have competitive indoor swimming facility.
Not.
So if that were to happen, the school district has to come along and provide
that is correct
extra capital money to build that.
Right.
Plus then operating.
Yeah, the study, Ken, you're right. The study basically came back and said, do not build. The people that will join and pay annual fees, there's not enough of them that want lap swimming. Build some, but don't build your 8. Our Chaska Y has 8 lanes by 25 yards, and the only reason why was because the city wanted it and paid for it. We're in discussions right now with Georgetown ISD on a similar issue. But it all has to fall in place, and you never know. Fitness, and that's it. I hope I answered all the questions that Mark outlined for me.
Well, I did have a question about the reciprocity, because I know that I was part of a YMCA when I lived in Wisconsin, and they didn't. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let me
I'm
tell you
from
about that.
Wisconsin. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the YMCA that we were a part of, apparently we couldn't go to the other ones.
Yeah, it's you know what's funny about that is that they used to have this program called Away, and it meant if you're away from your Y, you could go use any, but it really never stipulated it. And really what it said in the fine print was if they have a day fee, you got to pay it, or some will not make you pay it. 2 years ago, under the new leadership of the national office, they started off on the reciprocity issue, and the last I heard there was like 1 or 2 holdouts still, but basically everybody they're committed, and there was a vote, and there was a vote of our charter about 6 months ago, and the reciprocity thing is passed. And
So every YMCA.
Every
has to-
YMCA. So
That-
if you
that's
walk
good
in
to
there,
know.
yeah, it's
That's
good to know. I mean, it really wasn't.
So if you go back to Wisconsin, you're good.
Yeah.
I can go use the Y.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I have one. It was a great presentation, and I think you covered everything except there's one glaring part of this whole puzzle is the cost for the land and wherever we would put it. So based on your marketing data, what is the size of the facility and how much acreage?
Okay, the size of the facility that came out of that you guys got price quoted from Chasco and American Constructors was 57,000. It depends. 57,000. We have right around that same amount in Cedar Park, and we sit on 5 acres that we own. But we have that parking lot that's owned by the county and us, and we manage the park right next to it, so we have that benefit. Typical YMCA has about 10 acres if you want fields attached. So it depends on where the location is. You can go on as between 5 and 7, but you won't have the fields. The study that we did in the pricing structure that you were provided had 1 sports field included in the project and outdoor. So that's probably sits around with parking, 300 pieces of spots of parking is probably around 7. You could squeeze it on 7. Ideally, you have 10.
And so I'm not sure this is to you, but maybe to Kent. So we had 2 options based on what you did in marketing. We have a potential LISD site and a potential ACC site. So again, we would have to have the capability. Do both of those have the same capability as far as a land opportunity for this? And if so, either one of them, if we used either one of them, the plan then would be for them to donate or have a minimal fee to lease the land so that we could actually build it on there. So that would take away, and the other thing I wanted to ask is, what would be the price of a piece of land of that size near where either one of those are? So you could see what we'd be getting for the fact that we're using from LISD or ACC, their donation. So it's not like they're getting something for free. They are making an investment in the partnership to get the YMCA at their site.
Well,
can you get all that?
Yeah, I got it all. So they're not equal. The LISD site, and there's other private land there too. There is no donation there. We have to purchase that. Okay. In the TOD on the ACC site, they're prepared to sign a lease for 99 years for $1 a year, and we're working on that contract now based on a reduced membership fee for ACC students and faculty at this facility.
Would that specific agreement be between the Y and
No.
ACC or between us and
Yes.
ACC? Okay.
Yes. So in that $18 million in the bond, if we're not at the ACC location, you're going to have to use a portion of that to purchase land. Right. And their ACC is willing for whatever the exact amount of land is set aside for the Y. For a number of years, they're willing to provide more land for fields because it's going to take a number of years, many years, to build out their campus. And even despite that, they have more land than they need for the entire build out of their campus. So they're going to be flexible on the field space.
And can you give an estimate of how much property would go for
based on normal property, what does an acre go for in the city these days?
Well,
I mean, just to give, I just want to have some
prime real
ballpark
estate.
figure for what that amount might be.
yeah, somebody, I mean,
A lot.
What was Steinberg's 350
yeah.
in the TOD?
So that's about 160,000 acres.
Would we get I mean, if we had the property that the LASD, if we were to put it on the LASD property, so we'd have to buy it from LASD, and do we have any idea what, I'm sure they wouldn't give us a deal.
They'd have to get, no, we went down that road for quite a while, so it's going to be whatever. I'm sure they would sell it to us for appraised value.
For appraised value? Okay, thanks.
When did that change, by the way? I was curious, because during the bond package, we talked about both sites being donated. I mean, that was the implication we said at the time, but when did the LISD tract change?
Well, I don't agree with that. There was never any, either site being donated. There was always going to be some sort of trade-off. And so, number one, we've continued to work down that road with ACC. LISD couldn't find anything they wanted to trade with us. So that ended several years ago.
Do we have any anticipation of what the discounted rates would be for ACC?
Not at this point, but you know, it's got to be something that's significant because they're turning over a significant asset. So I don't know what it's going to be, 40, 50%, something along that line.
Yeah, yeah. Which is interesting because our operating pro forma has full paid 3,720 units, 4,000 units. So we got to figure that's
Right.
one thing we have to figure out.
Absolutely, that's our cost. That's our cost for the land. So whatever that is, we're gonna, we'll have to make it up to the
The great thing about it is most of them, when we looked at in the study, most of them are single adults that would buy that, not family memberships. So that's relatively low cost anyways, and if you do 50%, it's not going to be that significant. So often they overestimate usage. It's been my experience.
We also had a conversation about daycare facility.
Yes.
And so there's a difference between daycare and drop off, or
right.
What was it?
Yeah.
Work while you're there. They can
right.
And how much the cost would be for you.
Right. So your price came in at the 57. If you don't mind me saying, Kent, what you came back with both contractors were very close. I don't know if they were talking, or I'm sure they were, but it came in very close, right? And so it was like 12.7 or something. You had escalation since the time, but then the question was, what could you build on, and would it be beneficial if you built on some form of child care for those, because that's where they started. I have built YMCAs that have child care because the partner wanted child care, and it was licensed child care. That is the best way to do it. You cannot have a parent that drops their child off at the Y, leaves the building, goes to another location on a continuous basis. You can do it on a very, twice a week for a very specific time. Because once they do it on a continued basis, it kicks in licensure. So the drop-in care, and you can't mix licensed kids with non-licensed kids. And so it's a complicated factor. However, if your community, what Kent and I talked about, was if your community needed a preschool component, like we're building one in Cedar Park and we have one in Round Rock, that can augment your operating pro forma if you fill it. The partner can fill some of the spots, the public can fill other spots. And if you can get 100 kids in it enrolled, it actually can help your operating pro forma. And we tend to build those things, if we can build them, we tend to service that group that is below market rate. The average child care center is about $1,000 a month, and our Round Rock one's like the $750. And then we provide a tremendous amount of scholarship to those 100 families. So there's a truly I would suggest there's probably a need. The question is that the kind of partnership they want? We never really got that out of them. They bounced around it.
You talking about the ACC, right?
Yeah.
That's where I was going to
Yeah,
go.
we never got it out of
We
them.
don't know if that's something they want.
Yeah.
Well, they don't.
Okay.
Yeah,
they don't.
that's very recent
Okay,
thing.
that's good. That's good to know.
Yeah, you
But
know more than I do on that topic. So.
Any agreement that we have with ACC would affect our subsidy that we give the YMCA for the first 4 or 5 years?
It depends on how significant it is.
Correct.
You know, it really. I think we have to work that out. I don't know. It may not be that significant.
Would a student be able to buy a family membership, or would it just be a
Absolutely.
single
We'd have to. That's the piece we have to work out. Was if the discount's affecting our ability to perform, right? And so we have to figure that out. And we haven't had time to talk about that. What does that look like? I would doubt that it would be that significant. I really. We had a YMCA that we built on the International School of Studies in Arizona, and the thought was that there was going to be just a bunch of students joining the Y. It was the community. There was some students, but it was not as significant as they thought. Those ACC, you guys know how it is. They come at odd times, and they come for an hour and they blow out. So I don't know if that would be as.
Well, a lot of those students are parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only other thing I wanted to touch on is hardship percentages and stuff like that. Do you have an idea of I guess I'm trying to figure out how to form this thought in my mind. Do you normally, so apparently I think you said earlier that you may not use all the hardship money in a specific YMCA and it would go to other ones. I guess the question I have is, do you try to announce that or make it known that do you want to try to get to 100% of that?
All of our materials that we put out, right, all of our membership materials, all of our program materials typically will say that there's financial aid available.
Right.
There's, the reality of that is that some folks, pride, whatever the reason is, they won't come and ask for it.
Right.
That's just the reality.
Yeah.
The national average, as I mentioned earlier, is about 10%. 11% is what we hit on an association level. We used to use the term that we don't turn anyone away.
Right.
We've had years where we've spent all of our funds, and then we actually fund some out of our operations too. It varies year to year. Our goal is to not turn anybody away, but I can't say that we've never have.
So you haven't really come up with a real good way of trying to overcome that bias or that not wanting to come forward.
We adjust our giving levels, our income levels accordingly, and then what happens is we watch it on a monthly basis, and if one of our centers is giving more away and we have excess in somewhere else, we pull it over.
Do you make those percentages known in the income levels? Is that
the
part
form?
Of
the
okay.
form. Yeah, they get
Okay.
the form. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they have to provide backup for that.
No, you say it's on the form?
Yes.
But do they know that before they apply?
No, typically what happens is they come in and they say, I understand you have financial aid.
Okay.
And we say, here you go.
So
Here's
you
the form.
don't want to be too forward with the income levels. I'm just asking.
What I can tell you is that when we change them, people know about it very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's my biggest concern. When I get feedback from residents is the fact that it's only going to serve the top 25% of the people who live in Leander. It's not going to service the bottom half or whatever. And I know, and I'm aware of what you were saying about people have pride and things like that. But it's really hard to try to figure out how we can best reach those people and try to.
I think we struggle, Roy, or Ron, excuse me. I think we struggle with the responsibility to the donor to verify income.
Right.
Right. And then the ease of receiving it. There's this balance, this delicate balance that we struggle with, and we have very considerate people on our Financial Development Committee that are from all of our communities, and they look at that system and they say this is about the best. The responsibility of the donor is huge, and so we in 2017 we gave out 16,670 different scholarships at some level. It's pretty significant.
Mayor, if I may, I'd like to motion to approve.
Great. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been a motion made for approval by Councilmember Navarrete with a second by Councilmember Shepherd. So further discussion.
Just like to say that excellent questions, guys. I mean, it's taken a lot of time, I think, to get to this point with the parts for it, even prior to Mr. Timmons, and I thank Mr. Timmons for all his work, to get us to this point, city staff to get us to this point. So yeah, I'm a cheerleader for this. Just like to say this is an awesome time in our city. We're finally here. Some of us that campaigned back in 2005, this was one of our babies, and it's taken so long, and I'm really excited about that, and I trust everybody's going to go through and do their due diligence to make sure we have the best contract for the most amount of citizens we can possibly get. So, thank you.
Great. There is a motion and a second for approval. Is there further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion does carry 6-1. Councilmember Hill voting nay. Thank you, Mr. Andreessen. It's been a long time coming. Thank you, Mr. Timmons. We look forward to moving forward. We're going to go to item number 28, Councilmember closing statements. We're going to do this before we take action on the two items that we come out of executive session. After the closing statements, we'll take no more comments. We will move straight to motion. Ms. Navarrete?
Actually, I have none this evening, thanks.
Great. Ms. Stephenson?
I just want to give a shout out to our police department, especially coming up on Police Officers Memorial Day coming up. Our first responders are near and dear to our hearts, and especially our police department at this time, and we have a great chief. Thank you.
Ms. Shepherd?
A couple of things. First, I want to wish Mr. Yentis a happy early birthday. His birthday is tomorrow. Hope you have a great day. And it's a Friday, so that's a bonus. This morning, I had the opportunity to attend the National Day of Prayer at our police department, and I appreciate you guys hosting us there. And we had a lot of people there. We had a lot of pastors there, and Pastor Shane O'Brien from Rock Point Church prayed for the media in our country. And one of the things that he brought up I thought was especially profound. It resonated with me, so I just wanted to share that. And he talked about how, we criticize the media locally, nationally, and we are a big element of media. We are the social media. Too often it's just what we call Facebook or Twitter or whatever, but that's us, and that's our opportunity to be responsible with our words and to send messages that matter. So I just want to remind everybody of that, especially during campaign season where obviously feelings are heightened and people are particularly sensitive to what's going on. So keep that in mind. We can influence the attitude around us.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hill?
Number one, I just wanted to say I do support the YMCA, and I did push for it when we had the bonds that were out. I just think some of those questions about subsidies and about maintenance costs should have been able to be answered tonight. So hopefully that'll be something we hear in the future. And, we're coming down to something pretty important. I just, hope we get a big turnout, and look forward to being here again. Thanks.
Pro Tem?
I'd just like to wish all the candidates good luck Saturday, and that's it.
Mr. Abruzzese?
I have nothing.
Great. So most likely at the next meeting, we will be doing some swearing in. This could possibly be my last meeting presiding. We will see after Saturday. If there's a runoff, it would be a couple more. It would be about 6 more weeks, somewhere around the last week of June, first week of July. So we will we'll see after Saturday and make those determinations. This time I'm going to move to item number 29. 29 is take action as deemed appropriate. City Council's discretion as a result of the executive session regarding the acquisition and value of real property, including authorize the city manager to negotiate and or enter into agreements related to acquisition of real property. Pro Tem, do you have a motion?
I would like to defer the motion to Councilwoman Shepherd.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase contract for the acquisition of .3070 acres of property, .171 acres from Robert Carson Bryson to be dedicated by future council action as right-of-way in the amount of $33,166.
Is there a second?
I second.
There's been a motion made for approval of purchase of property with second by Councilmember Stephenson. Is there further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion does carry 4-3 with the mayor, pro tem, and Councilmember Hill voting nay. Item number B, proposed economic development incentive for a business prospect that the governmental body seeks to have locate, stay, or extend in or near the territory of the governmental body and with which the governmental body is conducting economic development negotiations. Pro tem, do you have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to authorize the city manager to finalize and execute a 380 agreement with Braun and Butler Construction for the waiver of up to $65,000 in roadway adequacy fees. The terms discussed in executive session.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been a second by Councilmember Shepherd. Is there further discussion? All in favor? Motion does carry unanimously. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So be it.
It is 9:28.